Hello and welcome to what is probably going to be the last normal episode of Pumpkin Emoji this October. Always here with Rod and myself, Jeff. We have
Hello.
somebody that, if you're listening to this at this point, you know who Evan Jennings is. We were
Hello.
both co-creators of EverymanHYBRID, and he is storyteller extraordinaire in the world of tabletop gaming. So we're going to hang out, pick his brain about tabletop gaming and breathing life into characters.
Absolutely. How you doing, Evan?
I'm doing good. I'm living life. I'm loving it. Yeah.
You live, laugh, and loving?
No, I'm not doing that. I told you what I was doing.
So
you just want me to be doing something else.
I'm just going to be talking over you. Rod, what game are we going to be playing today?
Today we got Metro Last Light in the background. So it's a funny little game about living in the subways after a horrible apocalypse happens.
Isn't that the Soviet one?
Yes, and here are the literal Nazis measuring this guy's skull to see if he's an Aryan. Oh, he's not.
Oh boy.
I didn't know that game was about Nazis. I knew it was about like monsters in the subway tunnels.
There are monsters.
Let's just make sure we got the. Oh, never mind. We're good on audio.
Okay.
Because that happened one time. Like one of the first or second streams we started, and we were all still muted. So.
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing.
You live and learn.
Yeah.
So,
and then you get loves.
I think the game itself doesn't have any audio right now. I do not know why. But
are you guys both playing a game?
No, it's just me.
No.
Okay.
Yes, Jeff is that guy. He's dead in the ground.
Listen.
Nice. Get him. Kick him.
So, Evan, let's start with the softball. We'll start with the softball questions.
Softball that one in.
Yes.
Softball it into me, mommy.
I will be referred to as King or Daddy. I will not accept anything else.
I don't like this.
So, Evan, one of the things you're known best for, if not the thing you're known best for, is your performance in EverymanHYBRID as the lascivious and terrible, the garbage son extraordinaire Habit. And one of the reasons this stands out is for your very powerful, very powerful performance you put into the character for the series. I kind of want to get less of a specific for Habit, but more of a general. What do you think is the most important aspect of preparation when it comes to acting in something like EverymanHYBRID, a web series of that sort?
Like, do you mean getting into character for that kind of that kind of horror thing, or like
both that and also just how do you research the character itself? Not just getting into character, but how do you research where that character's motivations come from?
Oh, okay. So what I would do is when I was because you came up with like what he was, right? And
right.
we came up with I wanted him to be this like awful, just like the worst of humanity, essentially, because he was a whole bunch of different serial killers and mostly killers, but like bad fucking people from just all over. So you take the most horrendous thing and person, and then you got to think, well, how am I gonna fucking, like, how can you possibly encompass that? And really you can't. So the best way to do is with humor, like make him funny. You know what I mean? And that was sort of the why I took him in that direction, where he was like loud and sarcastic, and like he would just say like shit that he probably thought was funny, in like, oh, I'm trying to intimidate you, but it's almost like he thinks it's funny that he's doing that. You know what I mean? Like something that he's so sarcastic and shitty that he can't take pretty much anything seriously. And then when I was thinking about like how to act with him, really, it was just I was super inspired by tons of. I'm a huge horror nerd. Obviously, I love horror,
Of
and
course.
villains were always my favorite. So like Beetlejuice, Freddy Krueger, people like this where they're charismatic but terrible, where they're loud and they talk a lot, but they're like the just putrid scum, you know what I mean, of the earth. And those are villains I'm always drawn to, and I love the way they are because it's almost like it's not like Jason who's on a mission, or
Right.
it's not like the I'm a clever psychopath kind of killer. It's not about that. It's about the sheer unadulterated joy of what you are doing. And like that's sort of where I went. And that also kind of plays into the whole like animalistic aspect of him, where it's like it's not even a lot of his behavior is like instinct. Like he exists to hurt, to cause pain. It's almost like he gains sustenance from it. And so
Right.
like the more shitty he was, and the more he made you uncomfortable, scared, sad, you know what I mean, gave you hope, ripped it away, was like part of that dance. And I think that was just inspired by people like Freddy, who I remember there was a specific scene that I've just all of his scenes are incredible. If you've seen the Nightmare on Elm Street and all the Nightmare movies,
Right.
Every kill is just like fucking awesome. They're
See,
just
it
fucking
is.
awesome, and they have like style to them, and like they're hilarious, in like a fucked up way. And one of my favorites was there was a guy with a hearing aid, and he can't hear without the hearing aid.
no.
So you know exactly what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. So the hearing aid falls out, right? And he's in like Freddy's nightmare land, and he's walking around the dream world. And Freddy goes to scare him, and he doesn't hear him, and he's like screaming and stuff, and then he starts like dancing and like doing dumb shit, and then eventually the kid puts in a hearing aid that blows its head up. But like that I remember watching that and being like, this is the best. Like I get what he's doing. Like what he's just fucking with him because it's not for the sake of scaring him anymore. Like he's just doing it because he loves it. Like he's making fun of this kid. It's a joke just for him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like which is something I think Jeff can understand. Jeff constantly tells jokes that are just for him.
Just for me.
I'm sure
Okay,
you've
yeah,
experienced
no.
it, Ron,
Yeah.
in talking to him. He will do things. Sometimes he'll say things under his breath when we're hanging out and just go. And it's like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Just stifling laughter when we're sitting there.
That's the kind of thing where it's like you can tell that this person, this creature, this thing, not you, Jeff, you're not a creature, but this thing takes joy from just this. And it really, at the base of it, it's causing pain and anguish. And like, how many ways can you explore that? And then I started thinking about, well, he's been around forever, so it's almost like it's probably looped around six times for him. You know what I mean? Like almost like when a
Right.
song is great and then it gets old and then it's great again and then it gets old and then it's great. That's what I feel like he was like, but for sadism. You know what I mean? So
Right.
really, it was just like, what fun, innovative ways would he enjoy himself? And really, there wasn't a lot we could do, so it came down to like how I spoke to them and how I act, where it's almost like he couldn't contain himself sometimes. Then sometimes he was just trying to really fuck with you, and you know what I mean. It was like he was throwing
Right,
a lot at
right.
you because he just wanted to drink that emotion.
Right. So one of the things I did, I don't know if this was intentional. One of the things that I did notice, with the whole iteration theory and the idea that this has indeed happened several times in the past, with Habit having done many of the same, probably having done many of the same things and gone through the same events or chain of events.
If you needle for lore answers, Rod, we're canceling Puppy
No,
right now.
It's not. It's just the way I see it. The way I see it is like, remember in Groundhog Day when
Like
Bill
just
Murray's.
wording.
It's not even that. It's more like Bill Murray's character realizes like, oh, I could try to be a good person, but I could also be an asshole. And the way I kind of see it is like it's him really realizing like, oh, I get to like refine the things I'm gonna do to these people, and he's been refining them for decades. And
I think there's definitely a level there of I'm gonna like Evan said, he's gonna have fun with it, and if he goes for the insane and like this isn't even convenient to do. I definitely see that being a something in on Habit's mind. Like, let's make this bizarre because I've done the normal knife stab a million times.
Right.
Yeah.
The question on my mind for, a new creator, someone who's, thinking of taking a more acting heavy approach to their web series. How would you suggest that they approach the, something that can be daunting, acting in itself, when you look at it, it can seem very daunting. I mean, I went to college for it, and even then it's like, Jesus, how do I approach certain characters? What would you say for people that are just starting out and people that want to have that, something extra to their web series? What would you say would be the best way, in your opinion, to approach acting?
So I think I should start this. I like this. I should start this by saying if you're listening to this and you enjoyed my work and Jeff's work and Vinny's work, like, understand none of us are actors. We didn't. I've never acted before in my fucking life. None of us really did. What I think you caught on, or what people caught on to if they did like my character, is they caught on to how much fun I was having and how much I loved the characters that inspired me. And that's like, when you, like I said, Beetlejuice, Freddy Krueger and shit, like when you look at, and all the fun psycho killers, when you look at how I act, you can see it. Like, I'm taking cues directly from them because those were huge inspirations to me growing up. I've loved the villains. And so I think if you don't like have acting experience, or if you're nervous about acting, right? If you're nervous about like getting in front of the camera or whatever, and like worried about like what people think of you, and like, worried about what you look like, or how people will whatever your hang up is, you just can't, you gotta do it in the moment. Like, don't do it for them, and don't do it for like the people that are gonna watch. I've never done a goddamn thing for like the viewers. As much as I appreciate them viewing, everything that we did in Everyman Hybrid, I did because I was having a good fucking time. You know what I mean? I was living my childhood dream of, and this is going to sound fucked up, but being a horrible monster villain, like, and I've always loved the villains, and I just really wanted to be one, and to play one, and to seem like so much fun. And so that's just what I did. It was really just that simple. Like, so I don't know, like if you want to create something that requires you to act or do voice stuff or whatever, you already know what has inspired you to get to that point. I know you do. You had to. You didn't just decide to do it. You saw something and you loved it. So, I mean, again, speaking from somebody who has no like legit acting experience, channel it. Don't copy it. Don't be that person. Don't take that name and don't try to wear that face. Wear your own and put your own spin on it, because you have something to give. You have something to spark it. That's why you're creating something. Because you have something different than what's inspired you. But what has inspired you, use it as a stepping stone. Embrace that. If you liked the mannerisms of Beetlejuice, which is like, if you look at the way Habit walks around and acts, very grandiose, and then I threw in a little bit of sludge. You know what I mean? Like, which is already kind of what Beetlejuice is. He's a fucking scummy theatrical man. But like, things like that, just embrace what you already love and what's already getting you into this art, and make it yours. You know what I mean? I think every great actor and every movie maker and every artist and everybody who creates anything, they're inspired by something, and you can see direct correlations from what they do to what has inspired them. When you see interviews and shit with them, when they talk about it, you're like, oh my god, fuck, I totally see that. Like, it's how we make things. You know what I mean? So you already know what you love, and you already kind of know what you want your character or what your story to be. So do it. Just do it. Just be it. And if you're worried about, well, I don't know if people are going to like it, fuck people. Guess what? They're not. No one's going to like it. Or only like 3 people are going to like it. And
people will bitch no matter how good or bad it's going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, people are going to sling shit. in your eye for it. That's one of the one of the reasons I made my character was so depraved is because I thrive on that shit. I wanted it. Like I wanted people to be like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like they did, and it kind of backfired. Well, some people said fuck you, but it was like not for the reasons that I wanted them to. But like, you know what I mean? Like you're always gonna catch shit. Just fuck it. Just do it anyway. I went in and I had fun. I work for the fucking state. Do you think people that I work with? I work for a bunch of troopers. Do you think the troopers haven't seen the shit that I've made? They absolutely have. You think they never busted my balls for it? Of course they did. But I said I fucking love it. I'm proud of my shit. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way to, I think, to do it. Do it to have fun and do it to create what I know you want to create. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I think it's a very sprawling answer. It's a good answer. And I was going to say, just like from a, like, not a technical standpoint, but I've always, me and Vinny both would always defer to you. Like we none of us have like classical training, but I think we all agree that you are the strongest actor, you know, and I say that in the best way possible. But I know when we each, I think each of us could like determine at least one scene that was either hard or just not fun to do, or like something that was difficult to actually, you know, get how we wanted it. And I know just like one small example is when we were like recording the noises for the rake. I thought when we were sitting there recording, like you guys sounded great. Like I was thinking like of the fucking Hunter from Left 4 Dead. Like you guys, like when you guys made like effect noises, I heard those monsters. When I try to record noises for that, I thought I sounded fucking ridiculous. And then we went back and we're like, oh my god, yeah, we can work with this. And like, yeah, that's horrifying. Like when you actually just commit to it and just throw it out there. And I think that kind of goes in line with your, you know, just do it acting, you know, advice.
Yeah. It's impossible to do it safe. You can't do it safe. Like, I mean, we weren't making anything that was controversial as to the context, except for like, you know, hopeless murder and death and suicide and stuff. But like, you can't do it in a way that's like nobody will judge you. Of course they will.
If you reserve, that's going to come across in the character, I think,
and it's going to suck. And you know what? And you're not doing. If you do that, if you play it safe, if you do it reserved, if you make something and you build it in a way of which you're worried about how people are going to look at it, you're doing your work a disservice. How dare you?
Completely agree.
You're making something that you're supposed to love, and you know, it's yours. It's your baby. Do it justice. Give it what it needs. You know what I mean? Yeah.
There's something that, God, this teacher of mine, Michael Zelniker, he had this. You know, he was this acting teacher. He was very.
That guy.
No, he had a very like dramatic way of teaching us. It wasn't just, you know, acting. It was like he taught us. He spoke the way that someone that was playing him in his biopic would talk. You know what I mean? Like, he would say very dramatic things, trying to awaken us and whatnot.
Okay, I know that. I have met some people like that. I get it.
Yeah. So the thing about it is that he used to say two things, and these two things I completely agree, despite, you know, him being very dramatic.
Salty balls is the two things he would say, and it was very confusing.
I know, but you know, it made sense.
When, like someone's like, you know, grandparent would die or something, they're trying to console them.
Oh
Salty
god.
Balls. Thanks, man. I'm sorry, go on.
See, he would say two things. One, in terms of you know, creating a character, and it can sound very like it can sound pretty pretentious, but it's honestly a very natural way of looking at it. When you know why your character is doing something, when you know why they're invested in this, what is moving them, the how takes care of itself. The way you're going to do it is going to happen by itself because you already know why they're doing this. You understand why they're doing it. So if you are a creator, you know, if you're creating something with your friends, you know, knowing why these characters are doing what they're doing is just going to make you naturally a better actor because you understand what their motivations are. You understand why they're doing things. So I think that speaks very true to what you're saying, you know, this idea of, and I think in a certain way, it's this consciously habit is going, oh, he's seen these movies and he likes these scummy guys that he's also seen, and he's like, oh, I could do that, you know, like I could definitely do that. So this information, you know, being informed by, you know, the motivation. And the second thing is that also speaks to what you were talking about just a second ago. It's, if you're going to do something, you know, if you're gonna make a story, if it sucks, it sucks. Lean into it. Be authentic. Love what you're making, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Because you have movies that lean into it, like The Room by Tommy Wiseau, and it's like, Jesus, it's a fucking cult classic because it's so bad, but they lean into it. You know, he gives it his all while sounding like an insane maniac man.
Maybe
but it's amazing.
Relate too personally, unfortunately, but it's like that movie was just for him.
Yes, I actually completely agree. So the authenticity is something that even if people don't like it, people will respect it from a creative point of view. People will look at it and be like, all right, they did what they loved, and they loved what they were doing. They had fun doing it. So
yeah, Evan's right. I think that the fun is visible and contagious. Like, even if it's bad, you can tell that, you know, it was a fun production. Like, people weren't miserable behind the screen.
Absolutely.
I think that's actually what you're saying. That's a really good way to say that, is once you know why, it takes care of itself. Because if you're the one, if you're trying to make something, again, going back to the persons, and you're like the only person that you know that's going to make it, like if you're on your own, which a lot of people are, then you have no choice but to do it. And like, if you know, like you said, if you know what your character wants to do and like what they believe in stuff, then you are going to do it. And if you don't like, oh, but I don't know how like a spec ops fucking soldier would whatever. Well, one, you know, research takes care of that with knowing what like guns are and stuff. But like, it's okay if you don't have the personality of like some fucking Monster Hunter or something, because it's your personality. Put a little of yourself into it. That's what makes every like character fucking great. Why do you think Samuel Jackson is fucking amazing in every movie? It's still him. It's fucking Samuel Jackson in every goddamn movie.
Yeah, there's a piece of himself.
Like, yeah, like it is. It's him in different universes. That's it. It's like, this is Samuel Jackson if he grew up as like a super spy.
I'm gonna be a Jedi.
This is Samuel Jackson. He grew up as a Jedi. This is how Samuel Jackson would act if he was on a plane full of snakes. Like, that's it. And like, you know what? He fucking crushes it. He knocks it out of the fucking park because it's believable. You know what I mean? You see his shit and it's believable because it has a lot of human in it. And like, I think that's a really good way to say that, man. Once you know why, you're just gonna do the how. You're just gonna do it. And it's gonna feel natural, even if your work isn't good or whatever. Like, look at our shit, Jeff. Remember what it was like in the beginning?
There's a lot of things we wish we could do it.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Like, we were trash. You know what I mean? In the beginning, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, but we just kept going, and we had a good time, and then it worked. I was gonna say something about the character direction you guys both just talked about, but that does remind me, before we move too far away from habits, inspirations, and like the characters that, you know, made him, you know, Freddy, Beetlejuice. I think if we went back and really scoured through all the scenes after Call and Cut early on, you'd get some like on, you know, quote unquote set inspirations of us just dicking around, you know, between takes. Like, we even included the one of you playing with the Freddy glove. That, you know, that made it into a video. But there's probably at least like 15 minutes altogether of just like 15-second clips of us bullshitting about movies we literally just watched at that time and were, you know, so hype about.
And that's an amazing thing. That's a very, very powerful thing too. Because when you watch these movies and you see these characters, if the movie moves you, you know, it has this visceral reaction. You have this visceral reaction to this character. You should learn from them. You should pick something up from them. Sure,
Also,
don't go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. Every character in this fucking game is my brother.
Are you serious? Do they look like a brother?
Does everyone have shaved heads and they're all militant?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
And the other thing I was going to bring up is, you know, making character direction such an important part of making the character. I think that's really just why I always, like, when we're talking about creating and writing the story in the first place, is the outline is always like this, you know, stick in the sand, like, no matter how, you know, how many waves wash upon shore, use this as your marker, use this outline and work from point A to B. That's just, you know, taking what you guys said about the character, but making it in terms of the story. Like, if you know how you want the middle and the end of your story to go, it does, you know, what happens in between doesn't fucking matter. You can get inspired and wing it, and, you know, to success, to varying degrees of success, if you know where you're trying to move the story, even if you don't know exactly how to get there, you know, just yet. I mean, that's kind of like what D&D is in general, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Evan? Like, that reminded me of, you know, you saying, you know, we have this, you know, story we want to tell in D&D. We're not going to do it the way you expected it to, but knowing like certain plot points that are out there in the sand, we'll get there eventually.
So yeah, actually, that's a really good, because tabletop role playing is the most chaotic way that you can ever tell a story. From like a writing standpoint, quote unquote writing, because you can't write it. And that's the beauty of it, is like, when you, like, I create my world, right? And my world has rules, and there are things that will happen regardless of the player's actions, because it's like big world stuff. Like, no matter what you're going to do, that meteor is still coming because you don't even know that it's coming, you know, or whatever. But like, all the shit in between, like your big bad, every DM always knows what their big bad's going to be, usually, unless they've created a few and have other options, whatever. But if you know what your big bad is, you don't know what the fuck the world's going to be like, what shape it's going to be like by the time that big bad wakes up. As far as you know, you could have a big bad in your story, and by the time you get to him, like, awakening from the dark tomb, your players have already ruled the world and are evil, and more evil than he is. And it's like, you know, well, now this is a whole different story. Like, you know what I mean? Look at that. But like, you'll still get where you want to go, if you want, you know, if the world dictates that it will go there. But like, all the shit in between, you can't plan for it. You know what I mean? But it happens. And oftentimes it's more beautiful and more excellent than anything that you could have come up with.
Yes,
you know, but
absolutely.
But that's because it's tabletop. And we could get into that, you know, but like, it's and that's, I think even the writing process, for more traditional writing process for creating a story in general, is a lot like that, because you'll make your story, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, I know what I want. I want this. Everybody starts with like 3 ideas. Like, usually it's always like 3 ideas for a story, and you have it and you're like, okay, go. And then you go through, I mean, think about a story that you've had knocking around in your head for like 2 years or 3 years or something. How many times has it evolved and changed and shape shifted into something better and better and better and better? You know what I mean?
Yes.
You didn't know that you were going to get there originally. You didn't have the whole thing plotted out. Of course you didn't, because if you did, it would have sucked. Like, because it would have been your original idea, and it would have been rough, and it just would have been what it is. But the more you thought on it, and the more that it had time to grow, it became something even better. And yeah, I think those two things are kind of similar.
And I think, you know, just knowing how it's a little different, because when we were doing EMH, you know, we were all good friends, and I think, you know, through the pain and the good times and the bad times throughout it, we became best friends. So it was kind of a different relationship than, like, you know, if we were assigned by like a studio or something. So it's not, I don't think it can be nearly as organic to like leave those holes like to do later. But I think if you're working on in a positive environment for collaboration, having like Evan said, like 3 points, and using that as like, you know, your direction, allow yourself the time to, you know, improvise or further embellish on ideas, because like Evan said, if there were ideas that we wanted to tell when we were in March of 2010, it would have looked like shit with how we knew to do things now, and like how quickly we wanted to finish the story. Like there were certain things that, the overall premise of the story might have stayed the same, but how we were going to get there, like we were in way over our heads to achieve that way. So it probably would have came out a lot weaker than how it did. So this is something that we actually, over this last month of doing the pumpkin emoji streams, between this kind of conversation and talking to Mike Manello and Michael as well, I've been more appreciative and open to collaborative efforts for what they are, because I think all of us have a tendency to like, let's just put our head down and get something done yourself, but you can see the benefits and like the positive outcomes that come from allowing yourself to be open to help.
Yeah, I totally see that. See, I think, and I'd say that like I have a firsthand experience with that. With Monarch 52, like I'm the only person that writes the story. Like I write it, produce it, direct it. I pretty much do most of everything. But Mike Weisner came along, and I saw what he makes, and I'm like, dude, like we need to work together. We just have to. And eventually we were like, we're going to have crossovers, and that's going to happen. And as soon as that started happening, the show became like, I'd say like 5 times better, just because Mike's own creative vision started coming out.
You
and
have
I think
to see stuff from a different point of view.
Absolutely. And being able to have a bird's eye view to your own work, seeing someone take what you've created and look at their interpretation of it really gives you an idea of what you have actually made without your own preconceived notion about what you've made.
Oh yeah, no, you
go on, Evan.
I was just gonna say I agree, because everybody has their own style and their own things that they enjoy and their own kind of stories that they like to make, and like me, Jeff, and Vinny, we're 3 very different creators, and we create very different kinds of stories. And I think that's why Everyman Hybrid is such a weird thing. It, not in like a bad way, but in like a weird fun way, is because I love very hack and slash, blood and guts, putting balls in a fryer and blowing up heads. That's like my thing.
It had to be balls.
What?
It had to be balls.
It had to be balls. I was just flipping through my brain and thought balls in a deep fryer.
Honestly, why not? Why the hell
not? Why not? Imagine the screams. But like that's the way I write, and like the kind of things that inspire, because that's the kind of work that inspired me when I was growing up, and the kind of things I like. But the kind of things that inspired Jeff, though he still likes gory movies and stuff, it is very different. You know what I mean? He likes the more psychological horror and like the House of Leaves, worst book ever, and like other things like that.
You rat fuck.
But I think when it if it was just me creating Everyman Hybrid, right? If I had just been the only one creating Everyman Hybrid, it wouldn't have been nearly as good. Like it wouldn't have been, because I wouldn't have even known about that ARG aspect. I didn't know about any of that shit. I didn't even know what that was. You know what I mean? Like Jeff was the one that was like, "Oh yeah, we can make an ARG." I was like, "Fuck's that? An ARG? What are you talking about?" You know what I mean?
Is it contagious?
Like I knew horror. Like I knew horror, and I knew like story and stuff, but I didn't know about that. And House of Leaves and stuff, like these are things that I had no context for, because I'm looking at the world a different way. You know what I mean? So I 100% agree, man. I think that's why if whatever good is in Everyman Hybrid, I think it's there because all 3 of us were very different creators, and we all together compromised and made like this thing, this amalgamation or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to stay active in the conversation, but I'm actually getting ass blasted. Like,
by sewer
I hate this. Fuck the Nazis. God damn it.
You can always recoil back into your comfortable zombie apocalypse.
No, I
shit,
can't.
I forgot to tweet that we were doing this, you guys. I fucked up.
Oh,
Christmas is
it's
ruined.
ruined. Cut.
I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. It's late. It's a half an hour in, but I'm doing it anyway.
Don't you know this is completely scripted and none of our conversations are natural? We're gonna have to redo everything.
We're gonna have to redo it. Anybody? Okay, if there's people in the chat, you're just gonna have to just kick them out. Just nuke it all. Nuke the whole thing.
Yep.
So this is the 6th episode of Pumpkin Emoji. No, we don't have to do it.
Hold on. We need an intermission. Hold on.
It's awful because we only heard like 2 notes of it.
Just failure, pure failure. Trying to use the soundboard before it never works.
It just never works.
And so we were streaming, just in gaming news, we were streaming Among Us with Andy recently, and he tried to sing a song about his rap persona, Fire Safety Andy. And
no.
it was kind of like what Rod just did. Every 2 seconds would mute, and no one knew what he was trying to do, but he just laid it out there. And
like, shut the fuck up, Andy. Shut your fucking mouth. Stop making noise, you fuck.
It's like, hey guys, I hope you enjoyed my song.
Yeah, basically. Like, you'd hear him high pitched and like auto-tune screaming in the background.
Ugh, no thank you.
So obviously, we've EMH has it's insane to think now that like all the behind the scenes stuff we did now has like a year, 2 years behind it already. Like the project's been done for a while. And we put it to rest. Has there, I mean, I know you and I talk, but like for the viewers, what kind of stuff are you working on now? Are you still a part of a streaming tabletop group? I know that was something, Just give them a little heads up of what you've been like working on recently.
Yeah. So, what I've been doing, the only games that I run is the game with you and another game that I don't stream with my cousin Matt. But
okay.
I do play in a game on the channel's called Nerds with Dice, and our game is Rifts, Ballad of Fate. Rifts,
Ooh.
like RIFTS. Yeah, Rifts is a Palladium system. It's like an RPG system. Right. It's like just a fucking crazy ass world and stuff where like there's portals to every known universe and everything is smashed together. Like wizards fighting robots, fighting dinosaurs, fighting dragons, right? That's
I love it instantly. I already love it.
Yeah. I think you would appreciate it. And it's very like crazy and fun and not balanced at all. And that's why it's awesome. But so I'm playing that, which is cool. And I am constantly writing for the game that we are playing, or more so now I'm not so much writing for When We Were Evil anymore. That one's kind of written and ready to roll, but I'm more writing for the next campaign that I'm going to run Jeff, Amanda, Talia, and Alex through, which is going to be Brune, my land of Brune, in my own sort of setting. I have like a whole... What takes up a lot of my time is like creating this whole world, right? This world that I'm playing with my friends in for the D&D, and I'm working on my own RPG system.
That's right. That's tight, dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a very simple and approachable system for people who hate math and like more cinematic action, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of systems out there that are like quote unquote simplistic, but when you get to playing them, you're like, yeah, but like you play it and you're like, yeah, this is pretty great, and then it comes time for combat and it's like, yeah, well, combat's like whatever. And it's like, no, like
don't whatever me. I'm here to kill stuff.
Yeah, like what are you talking about? But like you'd be surprised how many DMs they're like not friendly with that. So I'm trying to make a system that you can play it pretty much however you want, almost like the Fate system. But and I like the Fate system, but there's a bunch of stuff I don't like about it. But something that you can essentially take all the rules that I make and you can bend them and break them in order to make what you want in an easier way. than you can with a lot of other systems. And in the system itself, in the book itself, I actually, after like a section of explaining to you how to play, I give you ways to change what I just said in a way that won't fuck the game up too much.
That's good. That's very
so
good.
Like, it's like after a section, I'm like, do you not like this? Well, here's like, fuck this rule. Here's 3 other ways that you can just say are your house rules, and I've already tested them with the system and they work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
so
you're giving them variants. You're basically giving them variants.
Yes. I'm also trying to create, and this is very difficult, but I'm trying to create a system that's like 100% approachable for people who can't see. I can't think vision impaired, right?
Yes.
People who can't see, but people who are blind, and because they're rolling dice, and unless they buy Braille dice, it's fucking impossible for them to play. You know what I mean? It's hard for them to play. They need somebody to tell them what they rolled. Well, what if they don't have anybody there? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm trying to think of a diceless system, which people have tried, and it's not like, it's hard. It's hard as hell.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make one that will be fun and still can be just as chaotic and crazy as any other RPG. But you can do it 100% theater of the mind. You don't need anything, but there are still like rules and things like that set to it.
Isn't Gloomhaven kind of like that?
Yeah, I think so. And so is oh shit, it was like Heroes Fall or something. There's another one I found online. It was like the number 1. But it was an audio adventure. And it was like essentially like for your like computer or something. It wasn't quite, if I might be getting this wrong, you know what I mean? Feel free to fact check me and tell me I'm a fucking idiot. But there are a couple, I think, that are out there that try, and I've been looking at them and kind of trying to figure out what they do. But I wanted to make the system that I make close to the other system that I'm making. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make them similar, compatible with each other, so that you can, if you're playing it, you're like, oh yeah, let's just play the more accessible version, for accessibility. So that's kind of what I'm doing. My life is essentially all RPG stuff now. I am trying to teach myself how to draw web comics, which is fucking hard because they have to go vertical.
Right.
But I have a few stories. I have a lot of stories in the works, but I'm not a big writer. Like, I don't like writing. I like to draw, and that takes forever.
Yes.
like writing the RPG book, I've already got like, tons and tons and tons of fucking pages of info, because it's basically you're writing like a textbook. But like drawing a comic is very involved, especially when you're the only one doing it. So it takes me forever to draw very little, which is, hard on the soul. But
yeah.
But we
can collaborate. We can write a comic about a young man that works for the state, and he likes numbers, and he's burdened by this courage that no one else has.
By the courage that no one else has. See, I have characters like that in my story. They're usually
and they die instantly.
Yes, absolutely. They're having a deep conversation with somebody, and then the wall explodes, and that other person is spattered, and they're like, ah! So
I'm so burdened by being handsome and cool and very intelligent.
And better at skateboard than their friend Devin.
I'm being killed.
But I'm still handsome.
Yeah, let's collab on that, Evan. We'll talk about that later.
Jesus.
So much fun for me.
No, I legit, not a self-insert, but I would love to do something like that one day.
What? Go co-op on a comic?
Yeah, or anything. And you know me.
And you color or ink, because it sounds like you're gonna write a story and I'm gonna do all the drawing and the writing.
Hell yeah.
It does sound like it, not gonna lie.
I'm the ideas guy. We go 60-40 and you draw everything.
I would have been a graphics designer if I wanted to do that, and that's one of the reasons I did not become one. Is because
yeah, no, the bits old. I got nothing.
but that's pretty much what I'm doing. That kind of fills my day, but I'm getting better and better at it. You know what I mean? As I work on it, I do have pretty much a complete webcomic ready, but I need to make a few issues before, when you put one out, you have to have like 5 ready to roll on top of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
it's a lot, man. I try to do like 6,000 projects at once, and that always bites me in the ass because then like I never fucking finish anything because I'm like the worst. But I keep working on them, you know. So it's fun to
Right.
make.
Yes, you talking about the different systems just then reminded me of when we did all live together. I remember we played a shit ton of like what we called D&D basically, but it wasn't. Like it was literally just like you always say, theater of the mind. Maybe we roll a d20. Like
That is what my system is based on, buddy.
yeah,
Was how we used to play. Because I mean, remember how approachable that was. We'd have like random fucking people in our house all the time, and I'd be like, "Yeah, you want to like play D&D with us?" And like, "What do I need to know? Fuck it, you don't need to know shit." Like, you just tell me what
here's a
are you?
dice. Sit down.
Like, what do you do? I want to be. Can I be like a robot that shoots, goo bullets? Yeah, man, that sounds fucking awesome. Let's do it. Like, do it. And it doesn't fucking matter. And and I'm sure there's a lot of DMs out there that would want me fucking spiked for what I'm saying right now, but the rules don't fucking matter, bud. They never do. They never fucking have. It's all fucking pretend. So like shut up. Have fun with your friends. The
Rules are pretend.
Exactly. Everything's fucking made up and the points
Yes.
don't matter. So,
Every single rule is made up. Somebody made up that rule. So
exactly. And like but they, people get clicked to it like gospel, but really it's just about having fun and making a crazy ass story with your friends. And like that is the goal, you know what I mean? Like take When We Were Evil, right? When We Were Evil, the thing that me and Jeff do, the game that I run there, it started as a one shot. And a one shot. Do you play RPGs at all?
I do. I actually run a D&D 5e campaign of it's this paranormal diesel punk World War II-esque world. It's really fun.
Ooh, I like it. Was that inspired by a specific artist? Because I feel like I've seen art.
It was inspired by a game called Foxhole on PC, and I used to play with everybody that's in the campaign used to play the game with me. We were all in a game in a gaming clan, and it basically is just canon to like a bunch of other stories that I've written already. So it's really fun. We're doing it for Halloween, and it happens every 2 Saturdays.
Oh, awesome!
Yep.
That's good too, because they're all sort of in the know as to what like all the inside jokes and stuff. Like they all sort of get it, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So you run 5e, right?
Right.
I had never played a legit RPG in my life. All of that shit that Jeff was just talking about that we used to do at like the Sham House was just me spitting. It was nonsense, but it worked because it doesn't matter, right? Now, the game that we're playing now, When We Were Evil, started as a one-shot, and it started as a one-shot where I was like, hey guys, I don't know how to play D&D 5e, but I've been watching a shit ton of Critical Role, and now I think I can just sort of run something. So like, do you guys mind if I test it out?
It was like a practice run so we could learn the mechanics of it.
That's good.
How D&D 5e worked so that I could learn how to break it to use what I need it for, which is my sort of game style and my play style. And so we've been playing kind of traditional, like more traditional, because I've been over the last 2 years really perfecting how, like, first we started playing it and I didn't know what I was doing, and then I got better at D&D 5e, and now we're getting a little bit further into more of a comfortable sort of mix of 5e and homebrew, right? But what I mean is, like, it started as a fucking one shot. It was just supposed to be nonsense. The rules, we sucked at the rules, but it still spiraled into something huge. You know what I mean? And that's just because rules or no, however poorly I did them, if you go back and watch, you'd probably be like, Evan, no, like that's not how that spell works. And I'm like, yeah. So this is how this shit works, but it's not, because I don't know what the fuck I'm.
It's absolutely not your fault though either, man. We didn't know our own fucking abilities.
But that's the thing though. Like D&D is about having fun. It's not about the rules.
Exactly. And the one time that like weren't having fun was when I was like, I locked down, okay, I'm gonna play this boss battle the way D&D 5e says I have to play this boss battle, and it took like 4 fucking hours, and I was like, fuck this.
Was that the first priest?
The first priest, exactly. And like by the end of it, you guys were like, "That was great," but like that went on a little long. I'm like, "I know,
We did it.
we learned, we lived, and we learned, and now I'm never doing that again." Like because the rules didn't matter or whatever, or those rules didn't work for us because what mattered was us telling a story in a fun way, and that's what it's about. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing when you do it. I really think everybody should like try RPGs because they're fucking fun. You know what I mean? Like they're just fucking good.
They are.
I still, at some point, we talked about this and joked about it. I'm not going to submit you to doing this, but I do want to come up with some sort of actual one-off to run with my parents. I want to see my dad try to play a tabletop RPG. I think he'll be reserved for like 20 minutes. I think he would jump into it, to be honest.
I think the easiest way to get people who have never played an RPG, the easiest way to get them into it, and really to get them into a taste of imagination and problem solving and creative problem solving and storytelling, is to have them play themselves in a doomsday scenario, because every human being on this planet has thought about that.
Yes.
Everybody. That's where an RPG player and a doomsday prepper can perfectly meld with each other, because they totally both get it. You know what I mean? Like in that moment, they're both on it. And that's I think the easiest way.
And he's a carpenter, so I think all it takes is for him to be like, "Oh, well, there's a hole in the window. What are you going to do? Can I board it up? Hell yeah, you can board it up." And he'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Zombies are coming. How do you?
Yeah.
I have 2x4s in the garage. Well, perfect.
And one of the things we're gonna not advertise, but plug at the end of the stream tonight, it actually kind of reminds me of it here.
Jesus.
When we lived in the Sham House, some of the like favorite just hanging out memories we had. And ironically, it was around Halloween time when we lost the power because of the hurricane. And remember, we played candlelit D&D. We did a Bioshock D&D, and we did the, like you said, ourselves. The world is ending somehow. How are we gonna solve this? And I distinctly remember those like 3 or 4 games we played that week, just because it was that much fun, or the story left that much of an impact, even if there was no resolution, even if it was only 3 hours that we were hanging out.
Because it involved you and your friends. Like Austin ran the zombie one, and right in the beginning he died, and we were like, "No, Austin, no! Motherfucking killed Austin!" And like, so when like we were getting hurt, it was us getting hurt, and it's so much easier to put yourself. And so like somebody who's never played an RPG, they can't help it when you say like, well, your wife is still in that room, and it's like, what do you do? Well, I kick that fucking door down and I go and kill that zombie, and it's like, you're goddamn right you do. See how animated they get.
Yeah.
They can't help but put themselves in that situation, because we're humans and that's what we do. And then the only difference is RPG players can do that. They can stretch their feelings and their emotions into a different vessel, and that's where like role playing comes into play. But yeah, so I think that's the.
I mean, I think it speaks to the, not to get too deep into it. It's fucking RPGs.
We do this once a pumpkin emoji. It's okay.
But it's, humans by nature, and I think this speaks to something to the way you're talking about this, Evan. Humans as a species, from the dawn of time, we have been storytellers. And our ability and passion and desire and need to tell stories has, separated us from beast, and D&D is nothing more than, sitting in a cave. Oh God, Jesus. Okay. Sorry. I'm fighting for my life, and I just got really scared for a second. It's sitting in a cave. Monsters. Yes. I hate bugs. The only good bug's a dead bug. So it's like, it's sitting in the cave after hunting a saber-toothed tiger and telling the story of how you kill the saber-toothed tiger. I would go so far as to bet that like people used to like play quote unquote D&D in caveman times of like, Well, there's a saber tooth there. What are you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna kill the saber tooth tiger. Hell yeah, you are.
Yeah, I mean,
or like
problem solving.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's it. It's just when you take that and then you just spit like, when there's no longer a problem to solve exactly, and then it's like, okay, so what do you do? Oh, well, we're in like a town or something, and it's like, yeah, well, I'm gonna go get drunk, and it's like, yeah, you are, buddy. And then now you're doing it. Like if you can get your players to enjoy downtime in an RPG setting, you're good. You're fucking good, because at that point they run the game. You just tell them yes or no every once in a while, mostly yes, but you tell them yes or no and hit them in the face a few times. But other than that, they decide where they go and what they do. And it's the most wonderful thing in the world, because now they're building a story and you're just sort of like, as a DM, you're just sort of like, you're keeping it in bounds in some way, but like, I don't know. There's something just awesome about that, because they're making a story in your world with your rules, but they're making something that you couldn't have thought of and that you didn't think of, and that's probably better than what you thought of. And there's just something so fucking cool about that.
I haven't gotten the chance to play with like somebody new to it in a long time, because we all just play together. But seeing that open up for people doing that the first time is like some of the best like interpersonal fun stuff you're gonna ever see happen. Like 20 minutes, sitting there just like looking at their character sheet and like otherwise dead silent, and it's like, I want to open the door. It's like, you want to what? Let me go in there. It's like, okay, and then what? That's what is the rule of improv? And then, or
yes and
yeah.
It's just like, once you get that, then they're hooked.
And that's like, I agree. That's like the best moment, that when you see somebody really go like, oh wait, I can do what? Like when they figure out like, oh, I killed that guy. I did it. And it's like, yeah, you did it. Like, oh, fuck, I'm part of the team. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, motherfucker. Like that's like the best fucking. It's the best, man. But from a storytelling aspect, it's also beautiful, because you're looking at somebody who is now creating. And maybe they weren't creating before, and now they are, because they realize that they can. And it's fucking awesome, because they're going to go home and they're going to think about that over and over again. They are, because you've been that person. You know what I mean? Like,
you've had your own first experience with it. You know how it's like.
I guarantee if we message your cousin Dale right now and say,
he still asks me.
Yeah, remember the android? He'll know that entire story like the back of his hand.
He asked me. I had like a barbecue a little while when I got my house, a while ago. Whoa, what the fuck was that noise?
Aliens.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
But
wait, did it come from me? Because I'm wearing like noise canceling headphones.
I think so.
Aliens are invading and I'm too busy doing a podcast.
But yeah, he still asks me, hey man, you should come to Philly and run a game for me. And I'm like, I fucking would. Like, you know what I mean? Because those are just, and that was like the first game he ever played. And he became like, he was like the hero at the end. You know what I mean? Like, cause he got so into it.
I didn't even realize I was describing him. We were all, the usuals, me, my brother, and at the time just Amanda. And we're all, trying to keep the story going and everything. And Dale's just sitting on the couch, like, religiously looking at his phone. Like, we thought he was bored, and we're like, that's okay, it's not for everything. Sometimes people don't bite to it. And then like a half hour in, he's like, all right, so what does advanced leap or whatever the shit mechanic
he was looking up all those moves. He's looking
like, so how can I fix this?
Yeah. And he was figuring it out, and that's what he was doing the whole time. Is like,
that's really cool.
And that's like how my cousin is. My cousin Dale is very like, he's smart. He's smart brained, so he's fucking always trying to figure shit out. But that's how he connected to it. You know what I mean? He didn't quite connect to like the big epic story that was going on in the universe. He cared about the logistic problems that were happening, and he knew exactly how to solve them. And like, because that's the kind of person he is. And RPGs can pretty much bring that out in anybody, because there's different scenarios that everybody can bring something to the table with.
Yes, absolutely.
We have two questions from Phenom. Have you guys ever played the Delta Green RPG? It's Lovecraftian horror mixed with government conspiracies like the X-Files.
Delta Green. That
sounds
name
amazing.
is
I'm gonna look that up.
the name is familiar.
That sounds like 100% up your alley, Jeff. That
Yeah,
sounds like
no,
your
right?
two favorite things smashed.
And additionally, has anybody played the new Amnesia yet?
Aiden Elliott started playing it. He was telling me about it, and I'm very
When
excited
we
to
were
start
talking to
playing
him,
it.
He was hyped for that. And
Amnesia machine for dogs?
what is this? A
Pigs.
machine for pigs?
What is this? Some sort of machine?
No, apparently there's like was it a reboot or a sequel?
Peter, where are we? We're in Amnesia, Lois. It's some kind of machine for pigs.
I hate this.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're like it's either a sequel or a reboot. So Phenom, to answer your question, no, no one here has played Amnesia.
No, we haven't done it
I
yet.
have not.
I really want to. Oh my!
Evan has opinions about Amnesia.
I only play good
know what I
games
have
like
opinions-
Simpsons Hit and Run, and exclusively that.
Wait, what did you just say? What game did you just say out of your mouth?
Simpsons Hit and Run.
Listen to me.
The only video game.
Listen to me.
It's the
I
best
played-
game of all time.
I put hours into that game, and
I
I'm
put
not kidding.
months.
The GTA one, like the GTA Simpsons game, right?
Fuck! Big rats! Yes! Sorry.
Yeah. And you're running around, you're like collecting shit, and I fucking loved that game.
Yeah, you can literally just go around kicking Marge for no reason.
Okay.
Well, I didn't do that, but I
Yeah, that's the message we want to leave.
I'm sorry, okay, like I was walking around and I was a kid and I was like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? And then I see Marge and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna approach her.
I mean,
So you as a child, you're bored, you don't know what to do, and your mind goes directly to domestic
I
violence.
was gonna say domestic violence.
Hey, look, listen.
It's kind of like, as an early teen, like suddenly realizing one day that's like, wait, Grand Theft Auto has a story mode?
Oh god.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto Vice City was my introduction to Grand
Yes.
Theft Auto. Vice
So
City was
good.
my jam. And of course, I learned the cheat codes before I knew, you know.
Oh,
like,
before
the
you
game
ever
and
played
story.
the game, yes.
Exactly. So, like, I can't even tell you. I was, you know, just chainsawing people and like making the cars blow up and like all this shit. You know, putting the cars on like no traction so that they just like fly all over the place.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had no idea that game had like a story at all, unless when I would get arrested by the cops or something, and I would hear the lawyer go like, "My client wasn't even in the city at the time," you know? And I was like, "Wait, what's this? Am I a
I have a
mafia?"
lawyer.
Like,
Wait.
yeah, I had no idea.
Ken Rosenthal is a character?
Like, he had a
Jesus.
name and everything. I had no fucking idea.
No, yeah. No, for me that was fucking what was it? It was Drive. The PS1 Drive.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I used my dad and I used to play it a lot, and he would play the story and I would just, you know, drive around trying to run over people, but I couldn't.
And then ruin it.
Kinda. And then one time, like, because whenever he would play on the PS1, I would just grab my Game Boy and I'd be like, oh, it's not my turn, so I'm just gonna go do my thing. And there's one time I'm looking at the TV and I'm like, hey Dad, why are you not in the car? And he's like, oh, my character's having a conversation right now. And I'm like, what the fuck is a character?
Yeah, like there's anything besides driving and violence in this?
This game is called Drive, Dad. I'm not fluent in English yet. I'm 7, but I do understand what that means.
There you go.
You're meant to drive, not talk.
Not talk.
Jesus.
Were you gonna say something else?
So we're all gamers, right? We're all gamers here.
We're esteemed gamers of the Council
Level
of Games.
200.
This goes back to what we were talking about.
I'm a level 6 mage,
You know, when you
but
create
okay.
something, it's good to have like input and like outside opinions. So, and I think a good example of that in more modern works that you could look at was if you look at The Last of Us, which is one of the greatest games ever. The Last of Us was incredible. And then you look at the sequel, Last of Us 2.
Right.
Which was, you know, dumpster fire, poopy nonsense. So when you looked at those two games, the reason that the second one was dumpster fire poopy nonsense is because they kept it very hush hush, and they didn't really like let people into the writing process except for like the writers that were on it. And I think that was, they sort of got in their own heads and made something that like to them was like, this is going to be awesome. And then it came out and it was like, this kind of sort of sucks. And it's like, well, you didn't, you didn't get anybody else's opinion on it. So it's like, you thought that it was going to be cool, but it wasn't even a well put together story because you didn't care about that aspect of storytelling because you thought people were just going to buy it, and you just didn't, like you already understood the characters and their motivations and all the shit that they've gone through, but you didn't put it in the game. You know what I mean? And like instead you just expected people to be along for the ride with you. And like I feel like in working on something, just getting one person to take a look at it and be like, do you get it? And they're like, well, why the fuck is he doing that? And it's like, what do you mean? Well, why the fuck is he doing that? That doesn't make any sense. I was like, well, yeah, it does, because he did it. It's like, well, you never show that. Like, how? I don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, why would I know? You never showed that about the character.
See,
and
I get what you're saying, and I think you're gonna be mad at me because I personally really, really enjoyed the second one.
That's okay. You can be wrong.
So the reason I enjoyed it very much is a couple of things. One, I got something different, something that dared to just say fuck you to the first game and do something different. And I feel that on principle, that's something that people just don't do lately. People just don't take risks, and it makes me mad, which is why The Last Jedi for me is like the best one of the sequels. So it's like taking the risk and making something bad, quote unquote, is my favorite thing about anything that comes out. But where I see the problem of The Last of Us 2 is not even in the story, it's not even what actually happens, it's the process to get to writing it. And this is a problem that, for example, the Star Wars prequels have, which is, if you look at the original trilogy, what is the original trilogy based on? What are the influences and inspirations? You have spaghetti Western movies, and you have the Nazis, but at the same time, you also have like Western movies. You have Akira Kurosawa movies with samurais and swords. And
I was gonna say like medieval feudal shit, yeah.
Yeah, and they're very much like, you can see the inspiration very clearly in the movies, right? From the way that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader just stand in front of each other with their lightsabers barely touch each other. It's extremely Akira Kurosawa. That those are katana stances, and it's very specific. But when you look at the prequels, what are the prequels based on? Well, they're based on the original trilogy. They're based on themselves. It's Star Wars. When it bases itself on itself, it stops being what we love. And what we love is space wizards with cool magic and laser sword.
Like what, Flandersization? When they love this character for this reason. So let's make everything he says a caricature of himself.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and
the thing about,
you lose all originality, and you're no longer creating something, you're just regurgitating something.
Yeah, and the thing about The Last of Us 2, that as much as I love the game, the thing that I felt happened was Last of Us 1 felt like it had very clear-cut inspirations and very well-defined influences. Last of Us 2 felt like it was based off of Last of Us 1.
So it was, and they essentially created the character arc of Joel and Ellie was given essentially to Abby and oh god, what's the kid's name? The little boy.
Lev.
Right? Lev. Fucking, first of all, Abby's my favorite character in the game, right?
I love Abby. I think Abby's really well written.
people who hated the game because of Abby can suck my ass. That character was fucking awesome. I love that
Yeah,
character.
I agree.
However, there's still a bunch of problems. But so her journey was essentially Joel's journey, right? And Ellie's journey was sort of a descent into becoming what Joel used to be, which was, if you remember, sort of just a living piece of human shit.
Absolutely agree.
Would kill people, and you never really saw him at his worst you just heard about it, and you heard that he was like a living monster. But he's a survivor, but still, he did bad shit, he killed innocent people. But that's sort of what they were doing, and it's like, see what we're doing here, and it's like, yes, I do, except the journey of Joel becoming a better person took like months, and it was involved, and you believed it, and that was what made the game so good. It was not only his journey, but of course you loved Ellie because she was the best, you know what I mean? And it like took its time, and you really got to know the characters, and the character progression and character arc was so rich and so vibrant, and that was so new. That was something that like I had not seen in a game
nobody
before.
had done before. Yeah,
nobody had done it. Everybody has done what Last of Us 2 was, which was sort of like, it's a vengeance story, but in the end, they realize that vengeance is bad. And it's like, yeah, I fucking know. I know. That's not original. Don't feed me this horse nonsense. You had something amazing. Like, you had something that was deep and real and human, and you turned it into something that was regurgitated. You know what I mean? Like, the Abby's arc with Lev is not believable. It's simplistic and empty. As much as I love those characters, I feel like they're great characters that were wasted, essentially. Like, I would have loved if Last of Us 2 was like, fuck Ellie and Joel. They're not even, nope, it's not a game about them. It's about Abby and Lev. Yep, thank you. This is a great game, because then you really get to know the wolves, and you get to know the bad guys, and you get to see the arc, and you get to see the pain and the anguish. And even if they didn't go with the whole, I'm a bad person becoming a good person again, if they wanted to do a different thing, okay, that's fine. But like, you had a formula that you could change and still make incredible games, right? God of War essentially took the reins. They were like, oh, we can do that.
Yeah, and then they did it.
And like, they did it, and it was amazing. And like, God of War was never a game like that. They innovated. Last of Us 2 innovated the wrong direction. They essentially reverted. And like Ellie's journey, Ellie's whole part of that game, it's the most boring shit I've ever played. And I loved killing people. I love shooting people. I love that you'd shoot them and they'd roll around on the ground screaming. And I love that like you'd kill one guy and you'd hear another guy go, Gary! And it was like, yeah, I killed Gary, fuck you. And then I beat him to death with an axe, because it felt like, yeah, this feels real, bitch. Like I'm killing all these people and their families. And that's fun. And I like it. But God, for the love of fuck, every time there was like a cutscene, I could not wait for them to be over fast enough. And that broke my heart, because the first game, I lived for the cutscenes. The kills were great and the fighting was great, but I lived for those little moments. And this game tried to take those little moments and they cheapened it. And that's what made me so like angry, like where I was like, no, you spit on it. You know what I mean? Now you're trying to show character development between a miserable, broken Ellie, which like really lost its luster pretty quickly, because I was like, okay, but she's like a pussy now, and like this is annoying. Like, she's an annoying pussy, and I hate that, because that's not who she is. You know what I mean? She's a fucking badass, and she didn't
see. I see where you're coming from. Like, I totally see where you're coming from. I think, just an aside before I continue, I kind of felt like an outsider a lot of the time, because nobody ever talked about how fucking delightful it is to shoot somebody and hear somebody go, James, and then it's like, yes, I killed James.
So good.
Yeah, it is so satisfying.
I would replay the game. If not, I would just skip through all the cutscenes and I would just murk.
Like, just
wreck.
I do it.
Would be fun. Like,
there's an accessibility option, which I think is hilarious, which makes it so that the game is extremely easy, and it gives you like the possibility to literally, like, whenever you go prone, you go invisible. I'm not kidding.
Oh my god, yes, you can just execute everybody.
Yes, so
Or
you
grab
like
them,
you crawl up to
human shield
them. You crawl up to them with a shotgun, you shoot out both of their legs, and they stay there for 10 seconds just writhing in pain. Like, I
Oh my
love that
God,
kind of
yeah.
shit. I absolutely love
Yeah.
that kind of shit. But the thing is, I
Definitely
feel
so
like we both love The Last of Us 2 for very different reasons, and we see the failings of it. We see where it is flawed and where it could have been much better. Personally, I don't like counterpoint techniques for writing. You know, like, it works sometimes for like Uncharted 2, where you start, you know, hanging off from a fucking train car off the side of a mountain, and then you go to a tropical beach and you revert, you know, back in time. Like, I think that works really well for Uncharted kind of stories. But for The Last of Us, like, the second that you tell me, you know, that after Joel gets killed, that
Spoiler.
oh, please, if you haven't played it yet, go play it. Stop being a baby. And play it because it's a good game. It's an unfortunate sequel. It's not a bad sequel. It's an unfortunate sequel. Okay?
Was Ellie the one with the cyborg arm?
You shut the fuck up, Joe.
So
She's the one that she gets like 10 feet tall.
yes,
Jeff, are you gonna play Halo when it comes out? Is that the deep game that you're gonna play? Get the fuck out of here.
No, I'm just gonna replay Alan Wake for the 18th time.
Actually, we should.
That checks
I'm gonna
out.
Let you finish.
That
I'm gonna
checks
let you
out.
finish your thought, Rod. But we should discuss Control because I would like to get your guys' opinions on Control. But
Yes, please. Yes, please. But the thing that I want to say is just, I'm just gonna give my prediction, and you can agree or disagree, and I don't care because in my heart of hearts, this is what's gonna happen, and it's such a scenario. It's a scenario where there can be so much good writing, and it's gonna need amazing writing to make it work. But I wanted so badly. So, the whole gist of like, oh, the Fireflies have people that would know how to make a cure. In the case of the first game, was Abby's dad. The Fireflies are still around, which we thought they weren't, right? And Ellie is still around. So here's the thing. Two things. One, we know that Ellie's strain of the fungus is non-lethal. Yes, her ligma is not lethal. And she has bitten Abby before. She bit Abby during one of the gameplay sequences, which means that if it is transmissible, both Dina has it and Abby has it. Okay, so they're both immune, quote unquote. Now, the way I see this is the way I see the third game could eventually play out. Instead of Ellie going after Abby, which she will not do,
no way.
Abby has to go after Ellie and say, there's a way for us to make a cure.
And then they work together to
exactly, and then they both have to like. It becomes the travel story of Abby and Ellie, you know, and it's such a difficult.
Palatable. That's
palatable. But it's such a difficult thing to write.
What?
Right. What about Abby's dad? She forgave. Abby forgave.
Thing that just made me. God, I just hated that so much in the game. It was just such a fucking letdown.
I just really want.
They're like, don't you see what we're trying to say? It's like, shut the fuck up and let me kill this asshole. Don't you see what we're trying to say? I'm gonna drown her and then I'm gonna drown the fucking kid. You know what I mean? Like, I want to listen to you. Don't give me your fucking lessons. Like, I get it. You know what? Fuck me. Like, shut the fuck up. I want to kill these people. Like, they were trying to make it. Or are you gonna feel bad about it? No, asshole. Abby's my favorite character. I can't wait to cave her fucking head in with an axe. Like, that's how I feel the whole game. Now, like, you tell me, they failed. Like, that was a huge failing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
see, in your experience,
I'm like, I don't give a shit about her side.
In your experience, like from your point of view, I'm like, yeah, they failed real bad. Because if you love a character enough that you want to cut their fucking head off, and still love them so much. It's like, yeah, they failed. They failed they failed you, Evan. I can totally see that. But
No, because they wanted you to feel conflicted. They wanted you to feel conflicted about the vengeance story. I don't feel conflicted about the vengeance story. I was having a good time. When she was like, when they were fighting, I was like, yeah, cool, all right, something's gonna actually happen in this fucking game. And then it's like, now we're gonna walk away. And it's like, this is the worst game. Like, imagine watching a movie with that. There have been many of those movies. Guess what? There's a huge part of you that watches it and you're like, God, that was a fucking letdown. You know what I mean? Like, well, like that's worse. Never make the reality of
that's how I felt about Logan,
happened.
Unfortunately.
Never make the reality worse than or less interesting or worse than the anticipation. You know what I mean? Like if you lead your audience to believe that they're gonna see something fucking cool and then you're like, just kidding, because it's wrong, and it's like, well, now you did a bad thing. And that's not like new or interesting or innovative. It's like, no, it's like life. Well, that's fucking boring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not a good excuse to make it like, but it was the right thing to do. They realized they couldn't be satisfied with vengeance. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, good job, I guess. Like,
see, the way I see it, like, if it warrants a third game where we like these writers have to like make some incredible fucking dialogue and incredible character development for Abby and Ellie to successfully like learn from each other and grow together despite everything, I will say that it was worth it. If what comes next is good enough, I'll say that it's worth it. Maybe it won't be.
Exorcist 3 is much better than Exorcist 2. So
you shut your mouth.
No, I think that's objective fact.
You know what I think would have made Last of Us 2 just a good game and not a bad game with good combat. What? And to be fair, I love the art direction.
Yes.
The music is amazing. The graphics are great, and the combat's fantastic. But I don't play Last of Us for that. I played it for the story, and that was the biggest letdown. Which is the reason that I don't. That's why I'm so mad.
I just realized my character has been staring into space for 7 hours. Sorry, everybody.
But we're getting into it. But I think if they had simply made Last of Us 2, first of all, linear in storytelling, because like fuck me. It was like whiplash, and in the worst way. Like, I just was like annoyed and like bored with the, now we're gonna go over here, like you were saying, like now we're gonna go over there, now we're gonna go back in time. Like, oh god,
it was jarring.
I get it. Just tell me her dad died and let's keep going. I don't want to run around. God, I don't want to save a fucking zebra. Can we just fucking please? Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't. Anyway, so what I think would have been better is if it was linear. And I mean, imagine a story if it was you know, the conflict between Joel and Ellie, and they're not, you know, she doesn't forgive him, and they have this whole hateful sort of, she's so angry at him, he doesn't know how to reconnect because he's an old grumpy asshole, and like, oh god, we get this. Now imagine if we got to play, you know, while that was hanging over their heads, and first of all, which you're already invested in the characters, so that's how you profit off of that, is by having this painful interaction that's so uncomfortable and so difficult to look at because she hates him, and for such a good reason. You know what I mean? And you can't argue with her, and you also can't hate him because he loves her so much. Now imagine watching that develop and watching that grow, and then about halfway through the game, Abby kills him. And now imagine the impact that would have had, as opposed to, I died in a cabin. You know what I mean? In like 2 seconds, where you're like, well, that was kind of a fucking, again, very anticlimactic. Like, you know, I beat him to death with a golf club because he was nothing. It's like, okay, good one. You know, like that. What a way to make it. Like, that's like if Thor just did cut off Thanos' head right there before he snapped, and it's like, I did it. I saved the day. Like, all right, this sucks. Like, this movie's fucking stupid. Like, what the fuck? So like, you know, imagine if that, and how that would have made me like, no, and that would have had me like, fuck Abby, I want to kill her. And then you played as Abby, you know what I mean? And you're like, no, like then I get it. Then it would have been this confliction. Then it would have been this interest because she's such a great character, and you didn't even play her before that. You didn't even know who the fuck she was, just like Ellie didn't know who she was, and you're feeling what the characters are feeling. But they didn't do that because they thought that they knew better, and because they didn't let anybody look at their story and go, "This doesn't make any sense. You're a fucking idiot." Write it in a way that makes sense. Stop going back in time and back and forth. Nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. And if they do, and when they do know, because it's not like hard to follow, but like no one gives a shit. Like you're not making these characters likable. You're not making them. You can't connect to any of them because you're running them around in circles so fast that like they don't even get a chance to listen to what the fuck they're saying, and they won't care about it. You know what I mean?
I get that.
It's the writing, and the writing is what made Last of Us 1 good. That's why it was a good game. Otherwise, it would have been a very fun zombie survival game. And it would have been very fun and very good, but it's a good game. It was an excellent, exceptional game because of the writing, and the writing was the biggest letdown of the second game.
I see
like,
what you're saying.
Was like, how can you fuck that up? That was your bread and butter, and they're like, yeah, we don't need it. Okay, like, and then you make a bad game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you now imagine if it had all that shit with the combat and just a storyline where they didn't try to be like artsy fartsy indie shit, you know, which is what it felt like. It's a let's do something real wild. It's like, okay, it didn't pay off. Like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't even essentially that. It was like Memento minus the interesting part of the fact that he doesn't remember what's going on. Like, it was just out of order storytelling.
Moment.
It's like somebody's telling you a story and goes, oh, wait, I forgot.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. And then the door opened. Oh, I forgot to tell you this part. Let me go back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I meant. That's exactly what I mean by like, it's not, it doesn't help. Counterpoint storytelling is not good. It's just not good. It's so difficult to make it good that you just don't do it. Don't do it.
Except with Memento. And
sure,
only because
it's a gimmick.
What's going on.
Yes, because it's a gimmick.
And you're not supposed to know what's going on.
Exactly.
Or like flashbacks in a heist movie or something, but that's not
sure. But flashbacks in a heist movie is a cruise control to cool, as Jeffrey here would say.
I just think that.
I mean, it is though, and you know it.
To like commit to a single player game because, and ironically, my favorite games are, single player narrative. But at the same time, it's like to go with. I didn't play Last of Us 2. I don't give a shit. I'm never going to. But hearing your guys' take on it, it's exactly why I don't care. Because it's like, look how tough this decision is. It's like, well, yeah. Do I have a choice though? Because if I don't have a choice, then I don't give a shit about the opinion you're forcing upon me. Your story's not good enough to make it matter to me.
Yep, and you don't. Now that would have made a big difference to me. Letting you fucking drown Abby in the ocean there, like that doesn't. And it's not really because like I'm mad because she killed Joel. I was not mad because she killed Joel, and Joel was like my favorite character. Of course, he was everybody's. We all loved him. But like that's not why I was mad at her. I just because Ellie didn't like her, so I was like, yeah, kill the bitch. Like, and it's like I loved her. Like she was great. She was fun. But like. Ellie's like, fuck you. I'm like, all right, yeah, fucking drowned her. And then they don't even let you. And it's like, okay.
Even if it's the illusion of choice, it's going to change how I view your game. Like, if that's what you wanted to do, as our friend Nick would say, just write a fucking movie then. Like,
Exactly. And the beauty of games, one of the things that I think games are starting to lose is back in the day, do you remember when games all had like 3 different endings? When single player games had many different endings? Dead Rising.
Like the masterpiece Rising. Mass Effect 3?
We can unpack that later, but
Jesus Christ.
Dead Rising, and bear with me, Dead Rising was better writing than Last of Us 2. And I'll stand by that. Dead Rising was better writing than Last of Us 2, because imagine all the different ways that you could end. I don't know, granted, a much more simplistic game, but all the different ways that game could end because of just dumb shit in the game. Oh, you ran out of time, stupid. You're a zombie. Oh, you shot this guy.
Playing Dead Rising, but it's one of my favorite game franchises because of that reason. I love the story. I love the goofiness. I love the characters. I love that you can fuck up or you can save the day.
Yeah, but that's just Capcom. That's just Capcom enjoying itself.
It is, and it's goofy and it's nonsense and it's just fun, but it's good.
Except for
Right,
Dead
I'm
Rising
playing
3. Dead Rising 3 tried to be all serious and dark and people are dying. And it's like, no, fuck off. Then 4 comes along and it's like, fantastic. Like, it's just back to Frank West being an asshole. I love it.
But four lost. Four lost what I think made the game really great, which was like the flavor of the kills. A lot of them became very
Yes, I
similar.
agree.
And the psychos, they took the psychos away, and it's like, well, now you make bad game. Like the psychos were the most memorable part of each of these games. Was these like very awesome supervillain-esque, cartoonish bad guys, which were just so goofy.
Favorite psycho from Dead Rising. Go
from the first one.
From any of them. Just your favorite.
Come on.
Just your favorite. You gotta choose.
Look. He just because, oh, man, I love them all, but just because he had such an impact on me because I thought he was so fucking cool was the Vietnam vet.
Yep. Okay.
Holy shit, was he fucking scary?
I
Coming
see
out of the
that.
vents and just wrecking your ass with a combat knife and all the bodies.
That was the guy. That was the guy with the Bowie knife, right? With the Bowie knife.
Big Bowie knife, yeah. Or machete. I think he had a machete.
Was it a machete?
I'll never forget.
So. Because
it might have been in one of the later games. I think it was the first one, Adam the Clown, just because of how.
No, that's the first one.
Ran. That's the first one.
Yeah, with the two chainsaws.
It was horrifying.
And the poison balloons that he would blow at you. He's probably, I think, I think he's like the crowd favorite.
Yeah, my favorite is the guy from the store clerk from the supermarket. Clean up!
With the shopping cart?
And then he dies.
There's also, we can't forget Slappy. Slappy was incredible.
Okay, yeah.
Slappy was awful.
But the fucking no, the dude literally would like run like fucking good.
I couldn't understand anything that you said because you were roaring into your microphone.
He would just yell like, "I will not accept vandalism in my store." And then as he's about to die, he just fucking yells, "Clean up, register 6," and dies instantly.
Yeah.
God, he was so fucking funny.
Good times.
Yeah, he was good. The like Shaolin Monk of Wrath in number 3. I liked because he's like, my kids fucking hate me. My wife leave me for a man who sells refrigerators.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, I love this fucking game, but like, it's so good. And of course, the guy with the motorcycle, or the big, Hunter was his name, the biker guy. Just because I love that vehicle so much.
Well, I liked Off the Record, like Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, because Chuck would show up because he went insane because Katie died, and he would actually take the place of the motorcycle guy.
Yes, he would.
I loved it. Killing Chuck was my favorite thing.
His song was Firewater because he was drinking and he was tossing Molotovs at you, and he had the little dog, Katie. Yeah, he was fantastic, man.
So good.
That was great. Yeah. Oh, I love Dead Rising. That's a game I could just play and kill zombies for like hours. I used to play with Amanda. It's like just stupid fun.
Yeah, so we can unless you guys have more games to bring up. I was gonna say we've been going for about an hour and 40 if you want to wrap this up.
I'd be down. I'd be down to wrap it up.
So the one thing when we were planning this week, initially we were going to have our good friend who Evan and I have lived with for a couple of years, Dylan Sindelar, come on to promote his short film that's coming out on Halloween. And we're not directly involved with the production of it, but the story of Twigs, as it's called, is kind of not personal to us, but it was something that was conceived when we were all living together. And like we kind of joked about it before, but like there was a lot of time wasted in that time of our lives, but there were a handful of really like positive memories and positive creative endeavors that we did then. And I think Twigs is definitely a part of that. You guys might be familiar on the old YouTube channel, The Sham Life. we have an audio, I guess, like a one-off, like a little audio drama called Twigs that is basically the blueprint to what Dylan is going to bring to the screen. And I think it's about a half hour, 40-minute movie that he's going to be streaming all night on Halloween. And they're also raising money for the wildfires that are currently in his home state of Colorado. So when this is all said and done, I'll link it to the wrap-up tweet we always do. But yeah, check it out on Halloween. You shouldn't be going out to a party anyway, so when you're inside, check it out.
Yep, absolutely. So now that we are reaching the end of this final serious episode of Pumpkin Emoji.
Oh yeah, I always how do I forget this every time?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you, Jeff, for being my my co-host here on Pumpkin Emoji.
Oh, this was a blast.
I'd like to thank you, Evan, for coming on. I really, really appreciate you coming on, and I'm very glad that I got to meet you, dude. You're very cool. I want to hang out with you.
Thanks, man.
And I just want to thank everybody that's watching right now for being here. I'd like to thank my girlfriend, who's right next to me, for being such a sweetheart in all of this. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for coming on and watching and being here with us. We don't exactly know what's going to happen to Pumpkin Emoji as we move forward. Maybe we'll continue making it. Maybe we'll just wait until next, pumpkin season.
Make it a seasonal thing or do
Make it a Christmas tree emoji.
Sure, we'll see how it goes. We'll make turkey emoji first for Thanksgiving.
No, I don't want to do this for 3 months. I love doing this, but dude, everything. No,
I get it.
Right now. I'm so proud that we committed to twice a week for an entire
month. Me too. So yeah, we'll figure out where we go from here. We do have something planned for next week, so stay tuned for Tuesday next week or Thursday. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll give you guys details about the real finale.
Yeah, we'll let you know. But as it's tradition, Evan, I would like you to look at the list of people in the chat right now watching. And I would, on the top right, over in stream chat, if you're watching the Twitch stream.
Do you have the Twitch open?
No.
Okay.
Do you see the link I posted in the Discord call?
Let me see. Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So click that.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't been. Was I supposed to be on this?
No, it's all good.
I feel bad that you didn't see all the gameplay.
I forgot to fucking stream it in here. I'm an asshole. I'm an asshole.
I tried. I provided that link at 8 p.m. So it's not your fault, Rod.
Are we blaming it on the guest?
Yes, I can. In this circumstance, we're allowed to.
All right.
So know what I'm like.
So if you see over on the top right next to stream chat, you'll see an icon that says users in chat. And if you click on that, you'll see a list of people that are currently watching. Now
it's not opening.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, wait, here we go. Wait. Commander Rod, Twitch. I'm on it. I got it. I'm here. So
you'll see that icon for users in chat next to the words stream chat. Click on that.
Okay.
So you see the users that are watching?
Yes.
All right. So as a tradition here in Pumpkin Emoji, I would like you to choose one person from this list for us to sacrifice to the pumpkin god to appease their hunger.
Do this every stream.
Every stream, yeah.
This whole list. Yep. Now, does this equate to anything with its sacrifice?
It's he's the pumpkin god before Halloween, so he doesn't rise prematurely and end the world.
Yeah.
We also
Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods.
Classic horror movie kill that we post on Twitter afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna. My hand's gonna go up and down. I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna click. All right.
All right.
What did I click on? I didn't click on anything. I gotta actually. I forgot there's spaces in between the names.
Oh shit!
I won't pick Jeff or you. That was my first instinct, was to kill Jeff, of course. But I won't do that.
Pointed.
I choose. Can I say the name as I click it?
You can say the name.
That's who I choose. I don't know what to do. Do I click on their name?
Lurks.
Is it-
LURXX.
Yes.
Oh, Lurks. Okay, well, Lurks, you have been selected for sacrifice. Hold on, let me summon them into my room. Give me a second. Oh, here they are. Machete. Baba, could you bring me my machete?
Oh.
Yes, just a minute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I see the game now. These graphics are good.
Here it comes. Yep.
We get the first half again.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I truly, truly appreciate you all. Stay tuned for what comes next. Jeff, thank you so much. Evan, thank you so much. And yeah, this has been Pumpkin Emoji, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Pumpkin Emoji 2020 signing off.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.